as you'll notice the show times every day here, just quick housekeeping, jump around all over the place. So one day I'm here in the afternoon, the other in the morning. So if you have been tuning in, thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate all of the interaction with all of you, all of the shares. And as we take a couple of minutes here for people to get on the feed, let me just say thank you so much for joining me. It's my pleasure to bring my experience here with A Course in Miracles to you here on Enlightened World Network. And thank you so much for tuning in, for all of the comments, for all the shares. And I want to invite everybody to check the show guide. Check the show guide. It's a pinned post right up top on the Facebook page feed for Enlightened World Network that shows the daily programming. My show, A Course in Miracles 365, is at different times every day. So thank you for joining me. I hope you can join me live. If you're catching the replay, this is a lot of fun today because I have just had a tremendously fun day podcasting and being live and online with all of you here. It was my pleasure to host the meditation of the day a couple hours ago. And this is just, it's such a wonderful community. And I'm very, very happy and honored to be a part of that. All right. So I welcome all your comments. Feel free to type in a hello, hearts, shares, likes, everything. I will answer some questions if you've got questions a little bit later here today on the live stream. Let's dive into this, shall we? We're in the workbook. We're the workbook for students. We're having our perspective shown for what it is, as in not correct. And we're having fundamental notions that we've always held since time immemorial about the world, about other people in the world, about ourselves. We're having these turned on their head. And we're sitting here and we're showing up every day to watch a live stream. We're showing up to do these exercises. We're showing up to read in the text. We're doing this with a smile on our face, hopefully. And I hope that we can all laugh at how backwards we've all had it for all of this period of time. Now, that may not be your immediate experience. It hasn't always been that way for me. I mean, this can induce, these exercises in the workbook can induce a sense of feeling kind of disturbed, right? That we have really missed the point. Missed the point, missed the boat, and misconstrued things, misperceived things. But a message in any tradition is that this is not something to be ashamed of at all. This is not something to beat ourselves up over. It's simply where we find ourselves, and happily, we have many ways out. A Course in Miracles is just one of them. Now, to the extent that you've followed the workbook exercises with me, you'll know we're getting into some very fundamental concepts about undoing our perspective, undoing our perception of the world, and undoing our own very fundamental notions who we are and our place in the world. So let's take a look at lesson 12 in the workbook today. Really interesting stuff here. The lesson reads, I am upset because I see a meaningless world. All right, upset because I see a meaningless world. Yesterday, the lesson was my meaningless thoughts about whatever are meaningless. Our meaningless thoughts are showing us a meaningless world today. That's why we're upset. We're upset because we see a meaningless world. So is it meaningless? Yes. And not just because A Course in Miracles said. I mean, if you want to go with that, that's like accepting everything that your teacher said in school, which maybe you did. Now, this is Jesus saying this, right? This is Jesus himself. I'm upset because I see a meaningless world. Okay. We take his word for it. Okay, so the world is meaningless. Why? Does that even resonate with you? Maybe, maybe not. Again, we're not asked to evaluate the truth or the veracity or the just the feel of these lessons. We're not asked to do any of that at all. Just practice them. That's it. So whether you believe it or not, yeah, it's meaningless because it doesn't have anything to do with who we are. That's the bottom line, if you want to use that phrase from the business world, the bottom line, right? That is the ultimate truth and reality. This world that we're looking at is not who we are. So ultimately, it's meaningless. Yeah, the chair that I'm sitting on has nothing to do with who I really am. This live stream in which a body, a man named Tomas Garza, appears to be talking to you, and you appear to be watching him either live or on the replay through this wonderful creation called the internet that we're so blessed to have. Yeah, all of that is not who we are. So, is that upsetting? Well, actually, yeah, it could be. It could be. Why? Because we invest time and so much energy into our own self concept. And what's your self concept? This is a really wonderful and powerful question for self reflection. What are your self concepts? How do you identify yourself? It could be a gender, man, woman, non binary, something else, right? It could be that. You could identify yourself based on where you live. Oh, yeah, I'm an Arizonan. I'm from the United States, for example. Okay. It could be what you do for work. I'm a podcaster. I'm a creative director. I'm a teacher, so on and so on. These are all concepts that we hold about ourselves, and none of them is who we really are. So that's a thought and an idea that, whether that makes any sense at all to you or not, whether you accept that or not, it's worth coming back to again and again. And if it doesn't intellectually make sense, so be it. It's not supposed to, because spirituality and these workbook exercises are all about experience. It is about having a living, breathing, continuous experience of who you really are. Not about whether you believe that something someone says or something that you read in a book somewhere true or not. And if you can't wrap your head around it, don't worry about it. You don't have to, literally. And let that be a profound relief that it is intended to be, is that we are simply being asked to show up. We're being asked to choose every moment of every day love in place of fear. Choose it again, love in place of so on and so on. All right, lesson 12. I'm upset because I see a meaningless world. The exercise is meant to be done today with eyes wide open and just panning everything that you see. And do you think you see thoughts about a world? I think I see a fearful world, right? I think I see a violent world. I think I see a meaningless world. I think I see a fun world. I think I see a beautiful world. I think I see a fantastic world. Whatever adjective comes to mind, just gaze around and at your leisure, repeat, I think I see, if you think the world is dangerous, a dangerous world. If you think the world is beautiful, a beautiful world. And whether you yourself label the adjective as good or bad, as pleasant or unpleasant, is immaterial for the purpose of this exercise. A so-called good thought or a good or positive or fun label is just as valid as one that's troubling emotionally to you. And we might look around and think we see a riotous world, a calamitous world, a violent world, or you may have quite the opposite action, looking around, thinking you see a beautiful world, a peaceful world, a luminous world, whatever it is. And at the end of the practice period, the workbook has us repeat the sentence, but I am upset because I see a meaningless world. So we've looked right here on this live stream at why that might upset us, right? And why the world that we believe we see is in fact completely devoid of real meaning. We give this and all our thoughts all of the meaning that it has for us. A foundational principle to this thought system in A Course in Miracles, we label everything. We label everything. We categorize things. We judge. Like it or not, you may not consider yourself a very judgmental person, and that's absolutely fine. All of us judge all the time. Each one of us assesses and categorizes and tries to pigeonhole things into certain gradations and categories, making them fit in their little boxes. In fact, there is no box. There's no container. None of this is who we really are. Now, I'll continue to repeat that over and over and over and over, and it would be kind of you to repeat that to yourself over and over, and to do these exercises as the workbook suggests. The purpose of this is to systematically and gradually change our perspective, to change our perception of the world and of ourselves. It's an undoing, if you prefer to think of it that way, or if you prefer to look at it as the proverbial peeling off layers like an onion to get to the essence, then it's that too. Because we're really unlearning. We're unlearning, we're undoing things, and it is most definitely a process of undoing. So let's take a look at who's joining us here today on the live stream and any of the comments or questions that you all might have here today. And thank you all for tuning in. Yes, hello, Isabel. Thank you for joining me. And Don and Robert, hello. Robert's joining us all the way from Romania. Is that right? This is great. It's my pleasure to be here with all of you from all over the world. This is fun. So Isabel, yes, I have the book, yes. You've got the book, and excellent. Yeah. If you have a copy of A Course in Miracles, I prefer, I'll show it to you here. I'll show it to you because I am I guess, old school kinesthetic learner. I prefer to have the big this is an actual hardbound, thick book edition that I can touch. However, I will point out that there are number of online resources. So including Google, actually, if you have a question about a certain workbook exercise, you can always Google it and get lots of responses, lots of insight from people all over the world, many of whom who have studied the course for years and years and years, decades, many decades. You may know people that have been involved with this. This course has been a part of their lives for 20 or 30 years even. There are online resources, there are apps that you can get that I've used myself when I was traveling, not during this current climate, but when I've traveled in the recent past and not had the thick text with me, I've used an app that is available on Android and iPhone, and you can search those too, that have all the workbook lessons on them. So there are ways to access the information, but I'm so glad you have the book because that's my preference as well. And yeah, and Robert's a continuous learner. I love this. Okay, this is great. Yeah, isn't that fun? I say that's a lot of fun to always be a continuous learner. And this is the third time in my life that I've picked up the workbook and gone through it. And I'm noticing things with a fresh set of eyes every time. You pick up different things. It's like reading a novel again and again. You notice certain things that maybe didn't hit home for you 4 years ago now hit you in a different way. You get things differently. And then you have the pleasure, I have the pleasure of looking back over exercises and thinking about where I was in my mind first time I did this and what kind of changes have taken place. So if you have that experience in your own life, that is a very beautiful thing as well. And thank you all again for tuning in. If you missed this on the live stream here, free to catch the replay here. And I'm so glad that you all are following along. And all right, so more comment here. Yeah, Carol Ann joins us. Thank you for joining us. Does you have it in Kindle? Yeah, there's a Kindle version. It's cool. There are all kinds of online versions. So it's like when you a book, you don't have to buy an actual paper book. You can buy an ebook or listen to an audio book with this live stream. There are all kinds of resources, and it's amazing. What really strikes me is how amazing this interconnection is. And here we all are from all over the world, many different countries, studying A Course in Miracles together, which is a beautiful thing. So let's thank Enlightened World Network and Dr. Ruth Anderson for creating this space for all of us. I really, really deeply appreciate it. And I thank you all for joining here on the live stream today. Now, tomorrow, I'll be on at an earlier time at 11 in the morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll go live at about 11:05 a.m. tomorrow. So thank you again for joining me. And if I didn't get to your comments, I will get to them in just a little while. And I appreciate you joining me here today. Everybody have a great rest.